how Harts can actually help in doing that. So first of all, what I'd like to do is just explain the difference between strategy and planning, because we've used the two words together there, and a lot of people use them in the same sentence, but they are actually different things. First of all, a strategy really is having an overall way of actually how your business is going to operate, and a plan will be the actual specifics of how you're actually going to do it. So to give you an example, I'm being a Man United fan, and I'm sure there's plenty of Manchester clubs who are suffering after the last couple of days, but let's have an analogy for football. A football club can have a strategy of winning matches by scoring goals at corners. That can be their strategy. So they want to score as many goals as they can from having a corner. The actual plan will be, well, how are we going to execute that strategy? Are we going to pass it to somebody who's going to then put it into the box, or are they going to put it direct into the box, or are they going to pass it around the team before they have a go? But overall, the overall strategy will be to win games by scoring goals from corners, but the plan will be actually how we put that strategy into operation. So that tends to be the difference between strategy and planning. So as you can see, the heart of what we do is the strategy. So we want an overall strategy of how our business is going to operate. And off that, you can see we need to plan for all the other areas. So we need to have a plan for technology, how we're going to use it, how we're going to price our products. It will be a specific plan. The 10 killer ideas, which we've talked about, which we're going to give you later on in the sessions. You need to have a marketing plan, you need to have a cash plan, and you need to have a staff and teams plan. And that's, so you can see the strategy is the heart of everything that you actually do. So why do a plan, and why is it so important? The main one is it gives you enormous focus. When you've got a plan, you then focus directly on trying to achieve what you've actually set out to do. We did a strategy day with a client a number of years ago where they were a relatively new startup, and we did a plan over 5 years, and by the end of year 1 they'd achieved what they wanted to at the end of year 5, and that was the sort of focus that they'd actually achieved by actually doing a plan. So that gives you an idea of how a plan is so important. You will also get some targets out of your plan, your strategy. You will also get an action plan of what you're actually trying to achieve. It will give you a blueprint for the future. It will decide as to how your business is actually going to move forward and where you want it to move forward. It will give you accountability, and that's accountability not just to yourself, but it can be to your business partner. It can be to your family, it can be to your stakeholders if you have outside stakeholders, but it will make sure that you are accountable to them. And it gives you what you want, both from a business and from a personal point of view. Because at the end of the day, we want to enjoy what we're actually doing. We've got to have achieve what we want from a personal point of view, which is just as important as having it from a business point of view. And during these times of recession, it's also about survival, and it'll give you the best opportunity surviving the recession, even giving you the opportunity for growth and profit. And also it will give you an immense satisfaction and achievement. So for that company that achieved their year 5 targets by the end of year 1, there was enormous satisfaction and achievement. But therefore, what can go wrong? So if you don't have a plan going forward, and if you don't have a plan, don't worry. The vast majority of companies that we've come across don't have any sort of plan. They don't have a strategy, or they don't have an action plan, or they don't have a business plan. A lot of it is up in your head. It's not written down anywhere. But at the end of the day, it means that you don't really have any real direction. There's no clear leadership out there. It can lead to short-term thinking, and the customer's expectations may not be met because you'll be so busy firefighting and doing other things that you're not actually dealing with your customers as how you should be dealing with them. It can lead to no staff motivation and actually low morale, because the staff are going to be following what you're doing. If they can see you struggling in firefighting, they'll also be in that same sort of mindset. You also might be missing out on opportunities. Certainly over the last few months, there's been plenty of opportunities for people to grow their business during this lockdown and during pandemic. Think of all the PPE manufacturers, or the people who've turned their hands to making PPE. Think of all the alcohol manufacturers who've turned to making hand sanitizer. They've all been doing very well out of doing this. So there are opportunities there. If you don't have a plan, you can miss out on these. There are also regulatory issues which you might miss if you're not having a plan, because you can end up doing something which you are not supposed to be doing, or which is covered by regulations and so on. And you can also get quite complacent as well. So there's a number of issues which can actually go wrong when you actually don't have a plan. So it is very important to try and think about having a plan. So how do we actually prepare a strategic plan? Normally we say, this is where we are now, this is where we want to be in 5 years' time, and then we'll say, let's plan a route of how to actually get there. Maybe because we're in a recession, and we are in a recession, according to the figures which would come out last week, in a very deep recession, we look at a shorter period, maybe 2 to 3 years during this period of great uncertainty. We've got this second wave coming. I think all the indicators around Europe are showing that we've got a second wave coming. That is going to create more uncertainty. Are we going to have more lockdown? Are we going to have more people working from home? Are our businesses going to be shut down for a second period? We just don't know. But at least let's have a plan to see if we can cope with that period. And then we have a plan of how route of actually going to get there. Now, you often say, well, look, I've got a plan. I want to say my business is currently turning over £250,000 and I want it to turn over £5 million in 5 years' time. You're going to say, well, how on earth am I going to get from there to there in 5 years' time? Well, it's the same as the old adage as how do you eat an elephant, and it's in bite-sized chunks. You actually break it down into all its constituent parts, because what you're going to say is, this is where I want to be in 5 years' time, therefore this is where I have to be in 4, 3, 2, 1, and this is how we get to where we want to be over the next 12 months, and therefore you can plan for that. Bear in mind, when you're doing a strategic plan, there are no right and there are no wrong answers. It's whatever you want to be. If you're turning over £250,000 and you want to continue to turn over £250,000 because that gives you a great profit, it gives you a great standard of living, it gives you a great way of life of how you want to operate your life, then that's fine. No one is saying you've got to grow your business year in, year out. It might be that you're turning over £5 million and you want to reduce it because you're working too hard, you want a quality of life. Again, it's whatever you want out of it. There are no right and wrong answers when it comes to this. So when we look at a strategic plan, we've got to look at all areas of the business, including your products and services, your geographic locations, marketing, pricing, do some SWOT analysis with the strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats. We're going to have a look at systemization. I'm going to have a look at assessing your industry, competitors and market trends. And then we're going to follow up. So, strategy and planning focus. It gives you the opportunity to work on the business. We've seen this phrase said so many times, you're working on your business rather than in your business, but it really does apply. So you've got this business, which is this thing which is sitting around there in the ether. You've got this thing here, which is a business. You've got to decide where you want to go with that business. So you can be involved in the day-to-day so much, you don't get the opportunity to actually say, well, actually, I want to work on this business and I want to take it to a different place. And then it will give you focus, because then everybody is working towards the same goal. It will also give you direction. And I've given you that example before of the client that reached their goal in year 1 with targets in year 5, and that is not unusual. We've done 2 or 3 of these sessions before where the same outcome has been achieved in a much shorter period than they actually realized. So it is something which will give you enormous focus. But as we've said before, we're not looking at it purely from a business point of view. There are also personal objectives. A great question is, how do you feel on a Sunday evening? Are you looking forward to going to work on a Monday morning? Most people will just say, nah, I can't bear it, or some people say, yeah, that's fantastic. I can't wait to get into the office. I can't wait to get into my business to be able to crack on with doing that because I love it so much. But it's worthwhile asking you the question, how do you actually feel on a Sunday evening? Are you really looking forward to work or are you not? How much do you actually want to earn? Are you happy earning 20,000, 200,000 or 2 million? There's no right or wrong answers. It may well be that you say, well, I'm earning enough. I'm quite happy with what I'm doing. I don't need to change anything that I'm doing. That's fine. But at least plan for that going forward, because other things will come out of the woodwork which will affect you. How long do you want to carry on working? You might want to carry on working for 4 or 5 years. You might want to carry on working for 2 years. It may be that you want to retire next week. Plan for that. How many holidays do you want each year? Are you currently taking just the basic 4 weeks plus bank holidays, or do you want 8 weeks holiday a year? Who knows? How many days a week do you want to work? Do you want to work part-time? Do you want to work 3 days a week, 5 days a week? These are all the sort of questions you should be asking to yourself. And the main thing is what's important to you right now. And have a think about that. And those are the kind of the personal objective questions that you need to be considering when you're preparing a strategic plan. You're also going to have some business objectives. How big do you want the business to be? Are you happy with its current size? Do you want it to grow bigger, grow smaller? How many staff or team members would you like? You only got one team member now, you might want 20 or so to be able to expand the business. How do you consider your standing in the community? Do you want to be able to contribute more to your local community and get your name out there as being one of those companies that does that? What turnover will be good for you? There are many, many variables to consider, and when we actually do a strategic planning session, or if you wanted to do one on your own, these are all the sorts of questions you ought to be asking yourself. You also need to be setting yourself some targets. You've got to have something to aim for. So goal setting is actually very important. So you've got to, because if you don't have any targets, you might have something up, yeah, I'd like to do approximately this. If I don't do it, well, it's not the end of the world. No, let's get a target down and let's get it down on paper. And let's have a written document which says this is what we're actually trying to achieve. Goal setting is very important, so you can actually strive to achieve those goals. It will give you some short and long-term vision. You've also got to be able to measure your progress. So if we're preparing management accounts for you and you've got targets and you're saying, well, I'm never really reaching those targets, therefore I'm not going to show you my targets, I'm just doing my business, I'm just doing my management accounts, that's not going to help you. You need to have those targets to give you something to aim for. And also avoid procrastination. Are you putting something off till tomorrow? You're saying, no, I've got to achieve this target by such and such a date. Then you're going to go out and do the work that enables you to achieve that target. And it will also give you that motivation to say, right, I'm going to achieve so much by this date, then I'm going to go out and actually going to achieve it. It'll obviously lead to an increase in productivity, but it'll get you to where you want to be. And it's all about getting you where you want to be rather than where the business is going to take you. Action plans, very important. When you have a strategic planning day or a strategic session or half day, or if you have a planning within your own group, action plans is one of the last things that actually comes out of it, because these need to be written down. This is what our actions are going to be. You then decide who's going to achieve what, by when, and how. And you have a list of that on your action plan. And you then give that out to your team to determine who's going to actually have a go at achieving those action points. You want to share it with an advisor or a colleague. This is where it tends to be where we come in, because it's very difficult to do it amongst yourselves. We've often found that we can act as a facilitator for your strategic planning session. So then you can come out with your action plans at the end of it, and we can then follow up with you and have meetings later on, whether that be monthly, quarterly, 6 monthly. We can go and sit down with you and say, right, how have you got on against your action plans? And you can say, well, we've done this, but we've not managed to achieve that because of X, Y, and Z. We can come in at that point and say, well, actually, no, you can still go for that. There's no reason why you can't do this. and it gives you the opportunity to review your performance against that plan, and we can be there to give you, in a way, a bit of a kick up the backside to say, yeah, if you've not achieved it, why haven't you achieved it? You need to be focused on achieving this. A lot of the time, general day-to-day business comes into play, and you get distracted from what you're actually trying to achieve. You'll end up going back to doing some firefighting and so on. But if you can be focused on achieving your targets and having someone to be backing you up there to say, let's try and achieve those, it can make a great difference. And of course, your targets can change. If we'd achieved our targets at the end of year one, and it was our, say, our 2 or 3 year target, well, then we amend the targets at the end of the day. And we can change the route we go there. It may be that the sort of products you wanted to bring in, you just can't do for whatever reason. So we amend the plan. It's not a fixed document, it's a flexible document, which we flex as and when we're going along. So we can then say, right, we've achieved our year 2 targets by the end of year 1. So look, we're not going to just do nothing in year 2. We're going to amend our year 2 targets to take it further and develop. So you'll have this movable document which is there, and you'll be able to update it on a regular basis. You need to look at what products and services you offer. What are you doing now? Do your customers know what you're actually doing? And therefore, is there an opportunity for new products and services? We've recently, within Harts, brought out a matrix of services which we're going to look at to determine what other products and services that we can offer to other clients. Most of our clients take up, for instance, accounts prep and tax planning, but did you know we do all the other stuff as well? We can offer you financial planning, we can offer you mortgage advice, we can offer you management account services, we can offer you fee protection insurance, and so on. So there's a whole matrix of services. Do all your customers know everything that you do? So all you need to do is have this matrix. Will have all your services across the top of a spreadsheet and all your clients or customers down the left-hand side. And tick out the boxes which you're already offering and say, right, well, we're not actually offering any of these services to anybody, to these clients. Let's see if they're interested in it. And there may well be an opportunity there for intrinsic growth, which will cost you very little to actually achieve. You also need to have a look at your geographic location. Are you operating from where you want to operate from? Your business might be up here in Manchester, but most of your customers are down in London. Is it worthwhile having a hub down in London so you can service your clients from down there? Where would your customers like you to operate from? Where are your customers based? And then therefore, have you considered expansion to other markets and overseas markets as well? Do you need to be operating in another country as well? All these are matters which need to be considered when preparing your strategic plan and having a strategy and plan. Do you have a marketing plan? We're going to be covering marketing in a separate session, but you need to be creating your marketing plan. And you need to decide actually how you're going to win more customers. So if you haven't got a marketing plan, you need to get one. And it doesn't take much to actually prepare one. There's plenty of stuff on the internet on how to prepare a marketing plan, but we'll be covering this in one of our later sessions as well. And pricing. Again, we're covering pricing on a later session as well. But did you know, just to give you a bit of a teaser for one of the later ones, is that the psychology of pricing. You often see prices put in at £9.99 or £1,000. And it's a question of how you write the figures down. So if you put £1,000 as 1,000.00, it looks more expensive than actually having £1,000 written as 1000 without the comma, without the dots. And research has actually proven that people think that £1,000 written in just 4 digits is cheaper than £1,000 written in 6 digits with a comma and a full stop in it. Very interesting, but we'll be covering some of that later on our pricing session. Have a look at your USP. What makes you different from everybody else? Can you systemize your business? I've put down here a couple of examples. For instance, McDonald's. I'm not a great McDonald's fan. I don't go there very often at all. But It's a well-known example that you can have a McDonald's in Land's End. I don't know if there is one, and a McDonald's in John O'Groats, and I'm not sure there's one there either. But if there were, you can have a 17-year-old kid who's just straight out of school who will produce you exactly the same burger in Land's End as in John O'Groats. They all know exactly how long the burger has to be fried on both sides, how long the bun has to be toasted, how long the cheese has to be put on it for, and so on to produce the perfect burger. They'll all be the same size, the same quality, the chips will be virtually the same number, and it's all down to systemization of their practice, of their business, and that's how they do it. Can you do the same sort of thing with your business? I put hotels down there as well. A great example of this is when they're actually cleaning the rooms. They will have a tick list of actually how to clean a hotel room. So it'll be, have you cleaned under the bed? Tick. Have you cleaned the toilet? Tick. Have you cleaned the mirror? Tick. Have you cleaned the windowsill? Tick. And they'll have this tick list, which will then be proven to show that this is systematically how they actually clean a bedroom, to make sure that it all comes to the same standard. If they don't do it, and they say they've done it, then from a managerial point of view, it becomes a disciplinary offence because they've not done what they said they should have done. But again, it's all systemizing how you actually operate. Is there any opportunities in your business to see how you actually can systemize your business? So, how can we help you? We will work with you to help you prepare your strategic plan. We will act as your facilitator to ensure actions are then followed up. And we'll show you how to maintain and amend this and keep it up to date. And we can spend time with you in developing your strategic plan. You have to bear in mind this is all down to what you want to do at the end of the day. And we're only there acting as a facilitator. We're not going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. That's down for you to decide. But at the end of the day, there's an opportunity here. You need to have a plan over the coming months, now that this recession has hit. You've got to be able to plan for this going forward. We also have a COVID plan, which is only available till the end of this month. This is a COVID-19 support plan. This is a 1-hour video call which we can do with you, which will identify all the opportunities to claim what you're entitled to claim for, and identify potentially savings in other areas. And the full report is emailed you straight after that session. If you want to have an hour call with me, please feel free to give me a call, or my email address is up there on the screen. We've had one client go through this already and found it extremely useful. We're looking to put a number of clients through this by the end of the month, because we can identify all sorts of savings, and it all comes down to our next session, which is cash management. You need to hold on to as much cash as you possibly can during this recession. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to give me a call. So that's coming towards the end of this session. I've said it all between 30 and 45 minutes. Has anybody got any questions they want to raise? Anybody want to unmute themselves and ask any questions on anything that we've covered so far? Or feel free to put something into the chat box, and we can talk about that as well. Whilst you're doing that, next session is on cash management and why you must have cash to see you through this recession. We're going to show you potentially how to prepare a cash flow forecast. We're going to explain where you can actually get cash from and why cash is very cheap at the moment. So it's worthwhile coming onto that session. And then 2 weeks after that, we have a marketing session. We have a lady from a social media company, and they're going to advise us on how social media can help you improve your marketing. Those are the next 2 sessions. The other sessions are up there on the screen. Please feel free to book in. These are all free sessions. And as I say, if you miss one, go to the YouTube channel. They'll all appear on that once the sessions have actually taken place. So, any questions or anything anybody wants to answer, please feel free to unmute yourself and jump in.
Steve, it's Andrew Wright here. I'm sorry, I only got the link about 5 minutes ago, so I've missed most of it. Are the slides going to be made available?
Yes, all the slides and the whole webinar will be on our YouTube channel in a couple of hours' time. So
Okay.
you go to YouTube and you search for Harts Limited, limited spelt in full, you'll be able to see a recording of the session there.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. You probably just said that, but I was actually writing to Nina saying I only got the link 5 minutes ago.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Anybody else got any questions they want to ask? I've got a question in the chat box here, really from Rick, whose business is in video. And we've seen our manufacturing cut back on their requirements, but we've seen our clients in pharma and medical communications increase in their video communications requirements. So I think we'll see some sectors coming back quicker than others. Yeah, I can tend to agree. I was chatting to a client yesterday, and they were saying that they normally put on events, but they've switched to doing a lot of video content. And we're finding that people are wanting more and more video content now because they can't put on any active events. And so it is worthwhile. It's one of those ways of being able to switch and switch the way you actually do your business. A message here from Carol. They've diversified into PPE. That's great to hear. If anyone requires hand pumps for industrial use, they can call her. And if anybody wants her email address, please feel free to drop me an email. We can pass that out if that's okay with Carol. Anybody else got anything they want to raise?
Stephen, if I was to talk about how this would link with my, let's just call it my management account package, which I normally speak to Melissa about this, and Mark works with me on an operative monthly basis. Do I talk to you about all topics linked to this series of workshops, or would I just drop an email to Melissa? I know this is, I'm not trying to be provocative, I just want to understand how it works.
Yeah, basically, the way we do it is if you want a strategy session, I can do that with you, and that will then link in with your business. So we can then set you some targets, action plans, and all the rest of it. As you can see, I've not talked about finance at all as part of the strategy, because the finance bit actually falls out at the bottom of it. Once you've decided what you want to do and how you want to do it, then the finance function, the money drops out of what your plans actually are. And that's why really I'm not focused on any finance here, to be honest. Finance is kind of the end product, if you like. It's more about designing how you want your business to go and how you want it to beat the recession going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Carol's put her email address in there. So if anybody needs any hand pumps for industrial use, it's cmain@cra-international.co.uk. Anybody else got anything they want to raise before we draw it to a close? No? That's great. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. I hope you found that useful. Please pass the word around if you know anybody who thinks these sessions could be useful for them. They are all designed to help you gain success during these very challenging times, and in a way just the recession which is here now, which I believe is only going to get worse before it gets better. But if anybody else needs some help, please feel free to pass them on to us, drop me an email or whatever, and I'll happily have a chat with them. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning, and hopefully we'll see you all in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks, Stephen. Bye-bye.